met them and they became my friends. So I think
I so agree. I love it.
we'll talk a little bit today about, we did a photo shoot yesterday, so we'll be sharing some tips that we have for taking photos, like the timing, the lighting, how
super important.
yeah, and even behind the scenes is really important too.
Yeah, absolutely. So every week we go over our coffee break update of what exciting happened last week, what's exciting that's going on this week, what we're reading, and what we're drinking. So Jordan, would you like to start us off?
Well, your lovely sister made us green smoothies, so that's what we're having today. Cheers.
Cheers.
And this past week, I think I was kind of focused more on getting everything together to come here because I'm so excited. And this week, it's mainly just we're doing different things at Girl Boss Retreat.
Yeah, we're going to the Girl Boss Retreat today in a couple hours, and we're both really, really excited about it. So we met back in June?
Yeah, I think it was June. Yeah.
June at Girl Boss Rally in LA, and we have been doing coffee break lives together, and we just were reflecting on how crazy it is that all of a sudden we're here together a couple months later for for the Girl Boss Retreat together, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think we'll get into maybe what we do for the reading is we talk about we're going to be talking about some of our favorite books today, so maybe I'll save mine for that. But I'm excited because we found out that we're doing some wilderness retreat stuff. So I think it's amazing. So we're going to be both doing archery and horseback riding.
Yeah.
So
a little Katniss Everdeen coming our way.
Yeah. So what have you done this past week? Because you've been traveling
yes.
a lot more.
We've been recording a lot with the Tea and Toast podcast. So Lindsay, Lisa, and I, my two younger sisters and I, are launching the Tea and Toast podcast this fall. So we have done a ton of recording. I also try to do about 3 or 4 hours of work a day because I like to make sure that I don't have too much to come home to. And this has been more of work travel rather than vacation travel. So I'm still working as I've been traveling. But I've been in Denver this past week, working out every day with Lindsay, staying healthy as we travel, which is a topic we'll talk about on the podcast. So it's been really good.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to tell me some of your, so one of our questions was, what are some of your favorite like business or like influential books that have like maybe impacted your career?
Yeah. I'm a big reader. I read about a book a week. Jordan is as well. And I have a list of like 7 books that I'm going to go through. And my number one, I would have to say, is an oldie but a goodie. It's Good to Great by Jim Collins. He talks a lot about how businesses are not just good, but they so far exceed their competition. And so how did they get there? What are the fundamentals that they've stuck to that have made them so far surpass their competition? And that's a really good one just on business and management and fundamentals that I really liked. Deep Work by Cal Newport is another one, and that talks about how now that we're in an intellectual intelligence-based society where intelligence-based work is the highest value work, you have so much going on with social media that takes a lot of your attention. So Deep Work is really good for showing the value that you can create that exceeds your normal value when you're able to get rid of all the distractions. Those are 2 of mine. What's one of yours?
So I would say one of the first ones that I read, I know it's not a typical business book, but I loved way back in the day, I loved reading Freakonomics. Do you remember that book?
I do remember that book.
That is by Stephen Levitt and Stefan Dubner.
Uh-huh.
And look who's behind it. He has his toys. He's bringing his toys to us. Freakonomics, I loved, I think because I was either about to start business school or I was in business school at the time. And I think what it showed me was that everything that you take out there, there's never really one interpretation. There's so many different interpretations, especially in business. That's not always straightforward. There are things that we do and decisions that we make that impact in a different way because of the people that you're working with, or that the decisions you make about branding even to affect. They were even talking about naming your kids. Like that is also something that follows them throughout life. So like a lot of people who have either like a misspelled name or something that's doesn't seem as intentional, they had a lot more trouble because people were always getting it wrong or it made them feel insecure.
Yeah.
So that was one of them. That was just kind of an early one because it kind of applied to more than just, just business.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one, we can kind of go back and forth. I love Richard Branson. So he's like
really good. I haven't read any of his books yet.
Really?
What's your favorite?
So, oh my gosh, I like all of them, but I think Losing My Virginity was the one that came out around, it was kind of that same time. It was around 2007, but
this down.
But Losing My Virginity was good because this was around the time that he was, I think this was still during like Virgin Airlines. I know that was a recent thing that happened, that was, I think, Alaska Airlines, I think, bought their planes and stuff that were here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
But he talks about just like, I feel very not connected to him. Like, I mean, obviously he's like stratosphere level, but the way that he thinks, the kind of, I think he processes things a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I read his stuff, I feel much more connected. He's very creative in a lot of the things that he does, like little things, like even on the planes where he would, the way that the menus would come up. He was like really a pioneer in kind of the user experience, but like in these physical places. So that was another one that I really liked.
That's really neat. He's always been a CEO that I've really looked up to. So I look forward to digging into his books. They've been on my reading list for a long time. My reading list is eons long.
And I just like his positivity too.
Yeah.
I think he's just really, he's one of those people that just wants to make it work and make it awesome and doesn't feel that pressure of, I feel like he wants to have fun. He wants his employees to have fun too, which is important.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. Another one of mine is something that I bring everywhere with me. It's The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. And this is 366 meditations on wisdom, perseverance, and the art of living. And you just open it up to the day that it is.
What's today?
Yeah. So we've got October 2nd. I'm going to be honest, I haven't read it while traveling. I brought it with me so I could. The most valuable asset. Some people put their money in assets, stocks, bonds, property. Others invest in relationships. But a third type, I'm summarizing, invests in themselves, which is wild. Actually, that's something that I love talking about. And in being a good and wise person, I've always thought that investing in yourself is the best investment that you can ever make because it will pay off dividends throughout the rest of your life.
Well, and that's why we're here. We're at the Girl Boss Retreat. So we're investing in ourselves to get to connect with more people and learn more from some of the speakers. So
exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and that's really important in business. This is meditations and words of wisdom, but these really transcend business transcend your personal life into business as well, which I think is really cool. And another one that I'm currently reading, if you've seen my stories, is Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And I wish that I had known about this years ago when I had started becoming a lawyer, because it talks about how the cycle of success is that it brings on more work, which detracts you from the essential things that brought you success in the first place, and how to really carve out the things out of your life that you don't need to be doing, which is really helpful.
And that's interesting that you say that. I didn't have it on my list like of this time, but like I love reading things on minimalism and just like the philosophy of just not cluttering your life. And that includes like your thoughts, like the types of things you have in your home, even just the way that you approach things, like to keep it more minimal is always great. But a couple of other he's whining.
Why don't you come join? Join us.
Yeah, but I think I'm trying to think of some other things as well. Why don't you talk about that? I'm going to pull up because I have an author for one that I need to look up.
Okay. So yes, Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham is just money. It's recommended by Warren Buffett as one of his all-time favorite books, and Warren Buffett is one of my idols that I look up to. And so Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, he is the godfather, grandfather, whatever you want to call it, of value investing. So this is my version of investing that I subscribe to. It is investing in companies for their growth of value and their ability to have really good management. And it's not trying to make a quick flip. It's really investing for the long term, like 10, 20, 40-year long-term investments, which I really like. And then I have two other ones. I'm going to be honest, my list, I'm pretty disappointed, but as someone who really supports women in business, I only have one female author on the list, and I think I would love to see more women writing about business topics, and I'm excited. I feel like we've come with so many more women. I'm really excited to dig into some books by Marie Forleo about Everything is Figure Outable, and some other really good business books by women that are coming out. I just haven't had an opportunity to dig into them.
Well, I'll mention one that's specific to when I switched into tech, but actually two that I really loved were, I did love Girl Boss when it came out.
Oh my gosh, how did I not think of that? I love Girl Boss by Sophia Amoros. That is an amazing book, and it's such a great story about how she was able to found
Nasty Gal, yeah.
Nasty Gal.
And she was really just, she's very tenacious. She was, she also came from a place where she didn't really have lots of, really was kind of coming into that and working hard and finding kind of your voice in that and doing your first hires and just like kind of this kind of perfectly imperfect sort of journey, which I think a lot of founders have. And then also You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero.
Yes, I did like that a lot.
That was, it's not necessarily a business one, but I think it came at a time for me where sometimes we're going to be talking with like Dr. Lauren at the retreat for this, but it's just kind of this, confidence. I think a lot of women struggle. That they struggle with, and it kind of applies to everything, including money, including decisions that you make in life. So I love that one too. But my specific one, that this is for anybody who's like tuning in, who's doing a startup that is like an app-based one. There's one called Hello Startup, because in a code, it's you usually write the first thing you do is Hello World. So it's called Hello Startup, and it's by Yevgeny Brickman. You can look for Brickman. But that one's a great book because it's very, it comes from a programmer's perspective of building a company. And the thing is I had a lot of business background, and then I became a developer. So it was really cool to see kind of, I did this deep dive into development, and then now I'm coming back out and building a company. So it was really cool to see it from that perspective, as opposed to like what I'd learned in business school. It was coming from more of like the engineering perspective. So it was like kind of teaching them. So I picked up some different points even than I would have, you know, just reading a normal business book. It was coming from a different area. Yeah, and it was one that was new to me. It was a new identity for me to be a developer. So
that's really neat.
Yeah.
And to get to another one that I'm really looking forward to reading, by the way, is Work Party by Jacqueline Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
So the two events that I like to go to are Girl Boss events and Create and Cultivate events. So Sophia Amoroso with Nasty Gal founded Girl Boss and wrote the book on Girl Boss. And then Jacqueline Johnson founded Create and Cultivate and wrote the book Work Party. So I'm looking forward to reading Jacqueline's book. I just got it at the last Create and Cultivate conference that I went to, so that'll be really neat. And my last two are on sleep. So I think that the most important thing that you can learn to be successful in business is how to really take care of yourself and the foundations of your health, being sleep, wellness, nutrition, exercise, activity. Those are a couple of the really big things. And so Why We Sleep by Matthew Parker is really, really good about telling you all the things that your body does when you sleep, so you actually understand what's going on. Your sleep is a time of recovery and processing, which is really important for your body to be successful in business. And then Sleep Revolution by Arianna Huffington. One of the biggest things that she said that I thought was really interesting in Sleep Revolution is that they studied college basketball teams who were prescribed a regimen of sleep of being in bed for at least 10 hours a night. So probably getting 9 hours of sleep, and they'd been getting, or at least getting 8 hours of sleep, and they'd been getting 6 or 7 before. And all of their metrics across the board, their jump height, their baskets they made, all of their metrics of success that they measure just skyrocketed at least 10% because they were all getting more sleep. And I just think that the foundations of health so impact your success in business that those can be some of the best business books that you read, even though they're not actually on business.
Yeah. And well, I'll just leave with one more, one that I really loved. I think for people who feel like they're a little bit of like a misfit, or they don't quite know where they fit in, or not know where they fit in, but just like in business, when you're from a kind of a non-traditional path, I really liked Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
That was a really good book. I love that book as well.
And it was, you know, I think a lot of people, and myself included, we don't always have a linear path, or we think a little bit differently, and it's not always celebrated in every profession or every situation or every company. So I think sometimes looking into that, or if, let's say, you learn differently, or you have, that this is a different kind of topic, but let's say you have something with processing, or you have dyslexia, there's things that you can do. And a lot of companies are starting to pick up on how many talented people there are, that we're kind of filtering them out, because there are things that the system we go through, even colleges are starting to get rid of some of the standardized tests, because they tend to focus on specific skills that not everyone, or even very brilliant people, have. So I think, you know, anything that you can read that really is, I think it really depends on your season too. Like if there's something that you feel like you're either struggling with, or you want to learn more about, like if you just kind of dive in and arm yourself with that, these are things that either mistakes or other or experiences that people have had that you can now experience yourself by reading it. And I think, I mean, that's just, it's like having a mentor. You get to get that knowledge without having to necessarily experience it yourself.
That's why libraries literally blow my mind, because you have just aisles and aisles and shelves of books filled with so much knowledge, and it's all for free. Public libraries are for free, and they are the best system for learning something that took someone else hours and hours, years and years, decades even, to learn and figure out. You get to figure out in a couple hours just from reading it, and it's such an amazing way to accelerate your growth in your business, in your life. And one last one I want to leave us with, and I can't believe I forgot this one as well. I love the book Confidence Creator by Heather Monahan. It is really good, talking about how to be confident. It is so good, and you can get it on Audible, and we're actually having a podcast on the Teen Toast podcast with Heather Monahan coming up.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, so we're really excited to launch that. And we have some more to talk about today. We did a photo shoot yesterday, which was so fun.
Yeah.
So
speaking of learning, because that's where I was coming in, was more the learning. She has a lot more experience in it. So we'll kind of give our perspectives on some of the things that we were doing, and also talk about, because I see that Sarah's here. I know she asked it, how to feel more comfortable in camera. Because I feel like that's something that you have done over time. And for me, I've had to kind of change up my mindset a bit. So
one more,
I think maybe, do you want to start with telling us like about like how we started planning?
So Coffee Break Live, we just have some general colors and themes that we go with, of creams and browns and blacks. So those are sort of our neutral tones, just to keep with the theme of Coffee Break. So we wanted to do a photo shoot together, so we could have some photos together that looked nice, and we could brand Coffee Break Live and everything, and be able to post together that looked really good. And so I came up with a little lookbook for us of different ideas. And first I had a couple ideas of, let's do a creamy look, let's do a, neutrals look, and let's do a black look or something. But anything that we work within together is going to fit, because we're all within that color scheme. So I put together a lookbook of ideas of stuff that I could wear that fit into that, and then Jordan, you added yours.
Yeah, and then I kind of, because she was traveling, so she had those outfits. She had like 6, I think, that you recommended to me. Yeah. And then so it was really nice when I was like, do you know exactly which ones you want to do? Because we were going to do 3 looks. Yeah. So that actually helped me a lot as far as like picking and packing. And we ended up doing more of, we had like an all black that was not quite as dressed up. It was a little more fun. Yeah. We had one that had one. Yeah, no worries. We had one that was, I guess I had, what was it? Well, we'll talk about what you wore in a minute, but there was one that, what was it? There was kind of a I had the black and I'm thinking we wore black most of the time. We had a black and white situation.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we had
black and cream.
And then a pink too, right?
Yeah.
We had a lot going on. Because now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, we planned this, but we'll talk about it. We ended up switching up some things at the last minute too.
Well, then I kind of like have a more fancy style, but it's not actually normal. That's what I wear on an everyday basis. So I sort of revised my outfits to be more casual and more what we would wear going to coffee together or relax.
And I was telling her, like, growing up, I actually was kind of the same way. And I think I moved to LA and it like kind of like chilled me out, or I felt like there was kind of less of more of like because you have a lot of really beautiful like cocktail attire too, and so mine I think ended up being a little more like boots and cozy and like whatever, but it's good because that it was fun because you still had a little bit of that in there, but then some of my stuff I kind of like I had like a leopard like scarf, silky shawl, so we both kind of like played to each other's, which was really fun. So
it was. So let's give our top tips before we wrap up on photo shoots and how to make them really successful. So my tip is lighting is key. Right now we are sitting on the ground because the best lighting in the apartment is natural lighting, and the best lighting you will ever have will always be natural lighting. And I also have a little ring light above the camera just to give a little extra lighting. And the best lighting that you can get outside, you don't want to shoot in the middle of the day because shadows will be really harsh on your face coming down from above. The best times are either sunrise hours or sunset hours, and cloudy days or misty days are actually the best. Sorry about that. Cameras. Cloudy days are actually the best days for you to shoot because the clouds reflect all of the sun all the different ways, so it just makes you look really glowy and beautiful. So that's my number one tip, is good lighting is perfect.
So addressing more of the feeling comfortable, like because as far as my tips, I don't have as much experience just shooting, but I think finding things that you're feeling good in, and like an accessory you like yesterday you were wearing a hat. I had sunglasses during one. We could play with them a little bit, have more fun. We had little books, coffee mugs, to have something to sort of play around with instead of just standing there. You're like, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah,
that helps.
Nice to have a prop.
Yeah, and it helps with confidence too. And I think also when you're something I kept saying to myself, like as I was reviewing pictures, is I'm really hard on myself. So I started, even if you can't be like, oh my God, that's the most amazing picture of me ever, even though Lindsay did like a fantastic job. She did an amazing job. And I was actually really happy with a lot of the pictures, which is not normal for me. I get very hard on myself. I think when you look at some of your stuff, even if you can't quite be like, that's amazing, you look at it and you say, that is a perspective of me. Yeah. And I think that's a cool way of looking at it.
You kind of have to like let go of your perfectionism when you take photo shoots, because you're going to get a lot of really bad photos. Another tip is take a lot of photos.
Yes, volume.
Because you're going to have a lot of bad photos, especially when you're working with somebody else. You're not going to be on sync all the time. So take a lot of photos, and then as long as you get like 10 good ones from them, each look. So you have 40 photos after a look, 4 looks, or 30 photos after 3 looks, and you're good. You don't need that many photos that are really good.
Yeah. And then as far as anything else, I just think that just have fun, like try to do different things. I loved, like, I was kind of mirroring off of you, because you would laugh and you'd look and you'd like keep changing positions. I tend to get a little stiff. I think that was also what I was wearing too in a couple of them, but just like, pointing at something. I think some of the best pictures of us are we're looking at things, or I'm looking at something you're doing, or we're looking at each other. I think those,
not always looking at the camera.
Yes.
Like, looking at the camera is cute, but then you also want to mix it up, like looking at a book, talking to one another, like collaborating, drinking coffee together. Yeah, definitely mix it up.
Yeah. And so, and that's the other thing with the lighting that I didn't know about, was the timing. Like when you were saying the overcast, and like the timing later in the day is so much better. Like you were saying about the lighting too. So just follow kind of, even if it was raining even a little bit outside, it was drizzling, but it looked amazing. Yeah. So don't be scared of like the weather. Just look for the timing, like where the sun is, and just, you're like a sunflower, like follow the light.
Follow the light. Lindsay, you're so sweet. Lindsay said you guys were easy because you're both gorgeous. Thank you, Lindsay. She was so sweet. I think another really good tip is to have a good photographer.
Yes.
It's really hard to take photos of yourself. I commend everyone who does. I'm not really good at it. But having a photographer who is very honest with you and says, chin down, put your arm out this way, turn to the side a little bit more, make it look a little more natural, open up your eyes a little bit more. I tend to get like really like droopy eyes just because I get so tired of doing photo shoots after a little bit. Lindsay said, yes, midday is harsh because the sun is full on over top and casts harsh shadows. Yeah, it definitely does. It just like really like, and it like blows your face out really white, but only half of it, and the others are like really, really dark and you can't see your eyes. Not flattering. The flattering light is when the sun is more closer to the horizon, because then it's shining at you and illuminating your whole face.
And golden hour.
Golden hour is amazing. Yeah. So having a really good photographer, I usually do click, move, micro movements, which are really helpful. So Lindsay will click and I'll do a micro movement of maybe tilting my head a little bit more to get a different angle, because oftentimes you don't want to do big movements because you'll be like, oh, I like that movement. I like that pose a lot, but I wish that my chin were a little bit further down.
Right.
So you'll start in a pose and then you'll adjust your chin, adjust your head, maybe like, you know, like make it more cute, make it more close, and just looking at the pictures and having someone who can also say, oh, you're too far apart, or, you know, give you feedback.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I think we got a really great location yesterday. Yeah. It was in like the little office of Lindsay's apartment. Yeah. And that was really cool because there were so many different little spots we could take it. So instead of having to travel all around to a coffee shop and here and there, we got to go outside. We were walking like near the pool. We did like the cool walking shots. We were walking toward the camera.
You have to put them on high shutter, like so that you have continuous shooting when you do walking shots, because in order to get a good walking shots, you need a lot of them. So rather than doing single shooting, and I shoot with a professional DSLR camera, you're going to do continuous shooting when you're doing walking or movement shots when you're turning around or something like that.
Yeah, so that was really fun too, that it just had so many spots. So if you find a place that has a lot of different, maybe different colors or different furniture, but that's like in the palette that you want, go for it. Yeah. Anything else that you wanted to share as far as photo shoots? Because I think you have a lot more than probably that I do.
I mean, I think there's so much that we could share. We could do like a whole huge video on it. But let us know if you have any other questions with respect to photos or photo shoots. I really like to look at myself in the mirror in a certain outfit to see what the good angles are and just see how the flow of the outfit is. So for instance, right now I have something tight on bottom and loose on top, but if I just stood like this, it wouldn't be very interesting. So I'd probably like bring it in to like show the shape or something of the outfit, so that, you know, you would just want to work what you got, honey. You gotta be able to work it.
And and Lindsay was so great at letting us know, because the thing is, I'm taller, and so like when we were walking, she had to be slightly ahead. Yeah, I need to like keep my chin down, because I'm like going like, you know, like up in the air. Yeah. And it doesn't work that way. So it's great to have that direction. And she wrote, I can't wait to see the photos posted.
I know, us too.
We'll definitely be sharing them with you. I need to like star some of them probably right now, so that we have some notes, but we'll definitely be sharing a lot of them. And then future coffee breaks, we'll talk about, you know, maybe a little bit of editing and a little bit about just, you know, the importance of like kind of what we did in some of the photos specifically. Yeah. But getting good photos is, like you told me, it's like the basis of everything. The minimal edits are the best.
Yes. Start with a good photo so that you don't have to do very much touch up later on. It saves so much more time, and the photos look much better. But I want to cheers.
Yes.
Cheers to us being together.
I know. I'm so happy.
Right? Cheers to everyone. Thank you for joining us for Coffee Break Live. Cheers to Lindsay for making these awesome smoothies. I can't wait to try them. And if you've never tried granola on top of your smoothie, it is next level awesome. So I'm Laura DiFrancesco. You can find me at Live Lovely, at Flourish Co-working. Actually, sorry. At Live Lovely, at Flourish Westchester, at Dean Street Law, and now at Tea and Toast Podcast. Woo! We have a lot going on over here.
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a suggestion for just go to my profile. Just go to @jordan.chadsey, and it has some of the different things that I'm doing. And That might be easier just because there's a couple things coming up too. And we will be sharing next week our experience at the Girl Boss Retreat.
Yes. So we'll see you all later.
Cheers.
Cheers.
For them, and they became my friends. So I think I so agree.